Everybody, welcome to the Rebel Collective. I am your co-host, Laura Eisenhower.
And I'm your other co-host, Drago Reid.
It's so great to see you all today. It's amazing to be here. I just love this show. We have been so censored and deplatformed that Drago and I decided to come together to be sure that you just can't silence us, and there's no way you're going to silence us. We have amazing guests, and today we have a very, very special guest who I just talked to recently, and we were just at an event together, Journey to Truth Conference, and her name is Lily Nova. It's so wonderful to see you today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's so nice it was wonderful meeting you guys in person, and it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll take it away. Lily Nova is a UFO and space photographer, ET contactee, CE5 practitioner, cosmic channel, freaking best-selling author. Her book is really good. I'm reading it right now. And a public speaker. Her story and UFO footage have been featured on the Travel Channel and mainstream media all over the world, including the LAD Bible and the Mirror. UFOs began visiting Lily during COVID while out shooting space photography. And she's an amazing photographer, man. We're going to get into that later. She's been documenting these close encounters with her camera, determined to capture evidence and discover who these visitors were and where they came from. As her experiences progressed, a communication and blossoming relationship developed with these otherworldly beings. They taught her mysteries of the universe, how to initiate contact with them, how to activate her dormant starseed DNA, psychic gifts, and healing abilities. She now uses these gifts to channel uplifting messages, DNA activations, healing, and guide others on their awakening journey on her YouTube channel. Lily is dedicated to sharing her findings, footage, and experiences with the world, and to help others initiate contact and connect with enlightened star beings and their star families. You could find her at lilynovaspaceart.com. Welcome to the Rebel Collective, Lily.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, Laura was mentioning that we all got together at Tyler Koala's and Aaron Kuhn's convention, the Rebels of Disclosure conference, which is freaking awesome. It was one of my top favorite shows ever, and that was my first year that I got to go to it. What was your favorite part of that show?
Me personally, man, I love the people. They had a lot of really great speakers, Laura being one of them. Tony Rodriguez, which of course he's always, one of my favorites. I really, really connect and resonate with Tony. Who else was there? Jerry Wills, his presentation was amazing. So I really liked, everybody brought something unique that I think really complemented each other. And then on top of that, the community, the people, the bonfire, the trails, the nature. It's a very nice nature area. And there's a Sasquatch clan in the area too, a local Sasquatch clan in Grafton, Illinois, that I had some amazing experiences with during the conference. And a lot of people had experiences and close encounters with that Sasquatch clan too. So I think this is my third year going to the Journey to Truth conference, and this year by far was the most interaction, like interdimensional interaction and in interaction with the Sasquatch clan that we've ever had. So I think that was really saying something of how high vibe everybody was, and the Sasquatch, they liked us, so that's always a plus, interacting with some friendly Sasquatch.
Talk to us more about that, and just maybe beginning with when the photography turned into much more of an experience, and how that's evolved over the course of time up until this event.
Yeah. Oh, so much has happened. So I really got a crash course and everything. So I wasn't a UFO person. I didn't know what a starseed was. I wasn't super spiritual. I was, I liked crystals and I knew about the chakras and all of that. But so I started off as a nutritionist. I have a dietetics degree, and I was teaching nutrition and cooking classes. During COVID, I quit my job and kind of started going through like a dark night of the soul, but also fell in love with space photography. So I have like a nice DSLR Nikon camera, and I started going out every single night to shoot space photography, the Milky Way, going in rural locations. And a few months into that is when I had my first very, very close UFO encounter. And it was like I said, very, very close, and it totally rocked my world. It was just, I felt called to go outside in the middle of the night before bed. It was almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went out on my front porch and I looked up at the sky and I see this hovering light. And then I start recording it because it's this big hovering light somewhere over the neighborhood. An orange light appears at the end of my street that drew my attention. And then I start hearing a rustling in the wind. And I look back, and a second craft had appeared that was a large diamond shaped craft. It was very, very close, probably a few houses down. And it wasn't like far away in the sky. It was close. Like I was like kind of looking up like that at it. And I could see the rows of lights on it, and it went side to side, up, down very quickly, and then started coming straight to me. And then it vanished over my head. And that really changed things for me. And after that, UFOs just started popping up everywhere. So me with my camera, after my first experience, nobody believed me. So I wanted to document evidence of it. So I started recording these craft, and then they seemed to be also jumping in front of my camera, like they were trying to tell me something, like they wanted to be seen. They wanted me to capture footage. So after about 14, seeing 14 strange craft and UFOs in the period of 2 weeks, I realized, okay, there's something going on here. I was being bombarded by UFOs. And so I became obsessed with investigating who are these beings, where do they come from? Holy crap, aliens exist. Everybody needs to know this. And this is in the very beginning of lockdown. And then at the same time, there was that sneaky hidden part in the COVID bill that was talking about all government factions need to hand over all of the evidence that they have on UFOs. So whenever I heard that, that's when I realized, okay, something is actually about to go down. Like this is real. And then now it's in the mainstream all of the time. So that's how it started. And then I developed a relationship and a communication with these beings, and a bunch of other things happened that after that. But do you guys have any questions or comments on that so far?
So I would like to add that UAP executive order was set in motion by Trump. He was basically knowing that he was about to possibly lose this election, and he wanted to set a series of events in motion that would have to force them to actually bring this forward, because he fought them for the last 4 years when he was president. And this was kind of like one of his final acts, where it would force Congress to be compelled to legally release information from all the three-letter agencies and the DOJ and all that stuff that's been classified. So that was awesome. The other thing I wanted to add was I noticed that you went through a kind of dark night of the soul moment. I think it was September of 2020, and like you had your dream job, and this was like your first introduction directly after getting that degree, and like you was working for, I think, the University of Missouri.
Mizzou.
Mizzou.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, University of Mizzou. And that was going really good for you. Then a series of conflicts started happening. But I noticed when we learned in QHHT is when we're on a certain path we're not supposed to be in, the universe will prevent these obstacles, and we take it as this destructive outside force that we can't control, and we really let it conflict us inside, and we don't realize that there's a bigger meaning behind these events. Like someone just had totaled your car, you went through a traumatic breakup, like the universe was telling you this is what bottom looks like, and from this point you would rise from the rest of your life. And I think it was November 17th is when you first seen that orb, and completely changed your life. And you're right. The way they appeared, I believe when the light turned orange, you said it was 2 houses down. I believe that the energetics that they were putting off from their crafts caused that electrical change in the light. And that was like that physiological effect of them showing you, hey, I'm Talia. I'm here to let you know that we are your spirit guides, we are your team, we are your crew, and we're here to say, hey man, we've always been here. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, and they actually messed with as you go through the book, they did some strange things with that light and would kind of use that light to communicate with me. And so yeah, it's really strange some of the, physiological things that they can do. And I had a MUFON investigator review my footage, and they were like, yeah, there's something weird about that light. That's not normal. The energy or frequency in the light that it was emitting. So yeah, that was really interesting. But yeah, 100%. Everything kind of crumbled all at once so that I would surrender myself fully to the stars, and I was kind of open to having these experiences, and that really paved the way. And I think a lot of people go through that, especially in like a spiritual awakening. You know, they have to have that rock bottom or that dark night of the soul often, to be open. They have to let go of everything that they once were in order to become something, you know, new in who they are becoming. And I think it's a really, it sucks and you know, and whenever you're in the middle of it, but then it's really worth it.
We all say that when we're going through that dark night of the soul moment where nothing makes sense and you feel like you're getting attacked from external forces that you can't control, but you realize that you're a part of this beautiful song and there's a symphony being composed and you're the creator of that symphony and you created this moment in advance to go through all this darkness in order to find and challenge that, basically to seek a higher truth, because you weren't very religious growing up and you didn't like the fact that they would basically force all these like dogmatic laws on people, like if you don't listen to us you're going to burn in hell. Like that's hard to really be religious when you're forced to either worship a god, and if you don't you get punished, and then you're punished for the rest of your life if you die. Like that's really hard. So like when did that moment change, when you basically left the mentality of maybe when the lights go off there is nothing left, and then you realize that all of this is incarnational in existence and we are infinite beings living life after life, basically going through like a timeline of our own evolution existing simultaneously. Like you talk about your Lyran life, you have to realize your guides are always appearing because that life is happening right now. All incarnations are simultaneous, they occur at the same time. So this whole linear thing about how we've been programmed to think that time is linear and we basically progress from a baby to an adult, that's incorrect. The best thing to do is imagine like 100 TV screens in front of you, and each of those screens is an age in a moment in which you're going through, and you have the ability to see your entire lifetime in every moment, all the bad guys, all the bad relationships, all the catalysts, and you can see all the puzzle pieces. But you're only focused on one part of that TV screen right now out of all the stuff. So people need to understand that Lily Nova is still the little girl right now. In that moment with your father at that bonfire when everybody left, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. You're seeing that, you're being there with your father right now when he saw that craft. You know what I'm saying? And I really thought it would be awesome, being that yesterday was Father's Day and your father passing. I know it's really hard for you yesterday. And basically, since he was the person that got you into ufology and consciousness, and you basically dedicated your life to helping others, it was all because of him. So I thought bringing him up, he deserved that credit now, since yesterday was Father's Day, because he was that catalyst for you.
Don't make me cry. Yeah. No, definitely. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, my dad is the one who sparked all of this for me. So in his passing, so he was interested in, he's the one who introduced me to ancient aliens, like, you know, 10 years ago plus, however long ago that was, you know, in the beginning of that, and kind of opened my mind to and we always had deep conversations, you know, what happens after death, you know, what is life, or what is the meaning of life, and what else is out there. And we always really felt drawn to space. So he and he was also an artist. He was a tattoo artist too. He did
Yeah.
tattoos on the side. Yeah, growing up, our basement was a tattoo parlor. So he had all of the friends and family come over, and they would do his tattoos. I was lucky to get one from him before he passed. He wouldn't tattoo me until I was 18, unfortunately, but I got one from him. Um, but yeah, so his passing really fueled me to want to know, okay, what really happens after death? Because I didn't want to believe that he was gone and that was it. So that led me to a friend gifted me a book called Conversations with God that really helped me, and it really helped remove a lot of the religious programming and really helped me to better understand what source is and how the universe works. So that was a really big step. And that happened, I guess, a few years before the UFO experiences started. So that paved the way for me to begin having these galactic experiences and these more in-depth experiences. And when I first began a communication and actually got to meet the beings behind the crafts that were showing up, the first one that I saw being Talia, and she was my main mentor, and she was a being with light blue skin and no hair. I've got depictions of her in the book, and yeah, light blue skin, no hair, but she's very beautiful, very human-like. Has she had a skin tight silver space uniform on, and she's originally Lyran, but then they migrated to the Andromeda constellation, so Andromeda and Lyran. One of the first things that she told me was, well, first off, we're all one, even the galactics. So that introduced a whole new aspect. Not only do we all have source in us and we're pieces of source, but there's a variety, tons and tons, probably endless races out there, and we're all connected. We're all one. So she really kind of expanded my mind on that. And then one the other things she first taught me was time is an illusion, and the past, present, and future are all happening at once. And as I continued to have these experiences, I've interacted with future versions of me, parallel versions of me from all of the people from versions of me from different timelines, and they can actually engage and interact with you in the here and now, which is pretty mind-boggling and incredible. It's fascinating.
I'm glad you said that because like I don't like to use past life incarnation. I believe parallel incarnation. So like didn't you say you possibly had a life in Atlantis as well?
Yes,
So
yeah.
that's happening right now. So that's what I mean about how you're existing simultaneously on all the screens and you get to choose what you want to focus on. So like the Lily Nova 20 years from now can do something in the future that will then create karma for Lily Nova as a child. So it hasn't happened yet. So you think you've already lived that life and you've already grown up. But even though the event was prophesied on the TV of the analogy, you still create a chain of events that link everything together. So that's another way to disprove that whole timeline analogy. But Talia has helped you a lot, and she put you on this path of awakening. And she basically started with telling you that your heart chakra needed work because a lot of the stuff you went through, you put up this really thick wall and you basically shut down part of your chakra system, your ability to communicate and speak. We were talking earlier before we came on about how they had came down recently and they were working on your spine. And I had told you that even though you're a powerful communicator, it wouldn't be like, hey, she doesn't have a blocked throat chakra. She's like a social media influencer. But maybe there's something there because again, typically when they work on the spine, it's more of a kundalini thing where you feel it rise from the bottom and it shoots up. And anytime you feel it where it's localized, typically there's either an upgrade happening or they're unblocking energy that's being stuck there stagnantly. So you can use that third eye that she tried to tell you to use to help activate your psychic powers and your clairvoyance and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of like from my experience, it's like layers of an onion too. Like we're unpeeling. Uh, so I did a lot of work initially with my star family and my guides on the chakras, and I trained very diligently with them for a full year where I heard Talia in my head with me every single day, 24/7 for like a year. And I call it Starseed Boot Camp, where I was going through a lot of intense training every day and a lot of healing in my throat. Like I'm like even like since they were working on my throat last night, like I'm kind of getting, got sometimes you can physically feel it sometimes, I'm like clearing my throat. But we did a lot of work and a lot of clearing and healing in the chakras and activating and upgrading. But then sometimes like these layers of an onion come. So if you work on it once, it doesn't mean that you're done. Your chakras can be, good and aligned and open and all of that. But as we continue our personal development and our ascension journey, I feel like we unpeel the layers. Like just recently, I had some more past life. I'll just say past life, but also parallel and from the programs. I was experiencing a lot of pains and injuries suddenly in my right arm, in my elbow, in my wrist. I was trying to open up a jug of water twice and sprained my wrist. And I literally suddenly felt like a 90-year-old woman. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I, meditated on it and I did some acupuncture sessions. And then I was like, why am I getting all these pains and injuries suddenly? And I was shown a life or a parallel reality, or I think it was probably SSP2 mixed in there, where I had a mechanical arm and also some trauma and karma and things coming through my arm physically that I had to clear. And I worked with Archangel Raphael specifically, the healer, and my star family and guides for a couple of weeks, healing and clearing and transmuting that. And then suddenly, like, now I'm fine. But that was kind of a layer that just came up recently, around winter, this past winter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Gosh. Do you find that it it comes to you more than you invoke it, or is it like both now? Like a presence or a being, or are you caught off guard a lot? I think you said something recently happened.
Yeah, yeah. So they just show up whenever they want, really. Sometimes it comes in waves where it's I'll get a lot of activity and interactions kind of back to back, and then sometimes it's kind of quiet for a little bit. But yeah, often it seeks me out, and I will also try to invoke it, or set the intention to invoke it pretty often. But I find, I guess, the relationship that I have, um, they just pop in randomly. Just like last night, I was trying to go to sleep, and then the Lyrans appeared and started working on me. I was just trying to go to bed. Then I was stuck awake until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, thanks, guys. But
Oh my gosh. So you also talk about helping people to make contact, or um yeah, just some kind of activation to assist them with communication and being able to spot these things. How do you go about doing that?
yeah. So in the beginning, it was very much about it was very physical with like the craft and calling in the craft and all of that, and which can be called CE5 or human initiated contact with UFOs and ETs. That's just a quick way to say it. But so I do a bit of that, and there's different protocols and techniques. I have a chapter that goes in depth in my book at the end of the book. But really, coming into your heart center, opening your heart allows you to have more contact experiences and even communication with your guides. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be calling in a ship. My journey has evolved beyond that. There's ships in the sky all the time, and they're often cloaked or in another dimension. Sometimes if you relax your eyes, you can actually see them. Or or they will come kind of cloaked as like clouds. I'm sure you guys have probably seen that before. That's pretty common. Uh, but for even communication with spirit guides, galactic guides, or star family, uh, going back to your heart center and kind of opening your heart is a portal and an interdimensional highway, essentially, that really opens up more communication, and it also raises your frequency. So focusing on the heart, you can do heart opening meditations or exercises. Just sit there and visualize your heart opening and filling with love, or invoke the feeling of love, or invoke some sort of blissful feeling. Do something that just gets you in a higher state and raises your frequency, because these beings are, the ones that we want to talk to. At least they're high frequency, and we're kind of, here, and they'll kind of meet us in the middle, to where we can better perceive them, because they're always there, especially like spirit guides and things. Like, they're always there and they could be there instantly, but often times we may not always hear them, because maybe we need to ground or center in our heart, uh, develop our intuition. to be able to kind of perceive and understand them better. So there's meditation also helps a lot. And I do activations on my channel to help people connect with the different energies of different specific beings. I'll mention one other thing. I find it very powerful and that it seems to work much better if you are very specific and intentional about who or what you want to make contact with. So if, for an example, you set your intention to specifically make contact with a specific guide or specific angel or a specific type of being, say a Pleiadian. If you focus your intention and are very specific, I find that, or an Arcturian, for example, I find that your the success rate seems to increase a lot, if that makes sense. Instead of just kind of throwing it out there, like, I want to make contact. If you're specific about it, they seem to show up more.
I was
Hopefully that makes
noticing,
sense.
I was noticing that you have a bunch of different things that you can teach people, and they're from basic to like really big deep dives that involve anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. Like you have the 6-week mentorship program, you have the ultimate DNA activation kit, you have the deep chakra healing with inner earth being, psychic development classes, third eye activations, and then you have that Sedona vortex retreat coming up in fall of 2024, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we just decided to do that. We're going to be doing a lot of grid work in Sedona. So I'm doing a retreat in Mount Shasta as well in July. And then we just added Sedona in October. And I really feel like there's a lot of big things that are going to be coming in 2025. And we're really laying the groundwork right now, working with the energetic grids, doing a lot of clearing, transmuting, and just a lot of work. So I'm super excited about that. But Sedona is known for, its energy vortexes, so it can also help with having profound spiritual experiences, but also it can be incredibly healing and activating. So the energy is very potent in those two places. Not saying you have to go to Sedona or Mount Shasta to have an experience. There's places all over. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. That'll be kind of like a healing and activation and grid work retreat. The 6-week mentorship on how to make contact is going to be like a coaching program where I take people how to make contact and help them develop a relationship with their guides and star family. And then the DNA activation kits is like a condensed 3-month at least program with, I made 9 channeled activations from different beings, the Arcturians, Pleiadians, inner earth, that contains frequencies and essentially channeled activations that help activate and unlock DNA. So that is basically what a big part of what Starseed Bootcamp and what Talia and the other star families were taking me through was DNA activation. And that really helped me to activate psychic abilities and, kind of like some remote viewing and just fun things like that. Healing abilities. Which everybody has access to. A lot of these gifts are just kind of dormant, but they're automatically starting to come online. But if you really like focus on that, and especially if you work on DNA activation, you'll be amazed at the crazy things that you can do. Like we're turning into like superhuman, like 2.0.
Yeah. And all the challenges we face are really opportunities to begin to tap into those greater abilities instead of continuing to give our power away to something outside. I mean, how much interference have you come across? Because there are dark technologies and military operations and crafts reverse engineered and not, I mean, there's forces that really don't want what is happening with you and others, right?
Yeah. So that's super interesting. So whenever I was first communicating with my star family and I was feeling all of this love, these beautiful, like a love so strong, I've never felt it before in my life. I'd assume like a mother and her child, that'd be the closest thing, just a very deep, profound, unconditional love. It was very kumbaya in the beginning, but then I started, Star Family started kind of showing me and leading me to information and synchronicities about the hidden shadow government. And I started seeing that. I started seeing black SUVs. There was a few days where I was followed. I write about that in the book. And around that time, I was experiencing a lot of interference because I was also filming. There are these certain planes that go by, and then sometimes military craft that I was filming and kind of tracking, because at that time I was spending literally all of my time looking up, making contact, and recording. And there was a period of time where I started, I didn't know exactly kind of what was going on, but I was experiencing a lot of like psychic attack, and I think maybe even frequency directed weapons whenever I would record these certain craft and kind of track these government vehicles and things, to where I couldn't even look at my footage. Every time I would look at my footage, I started having like a panic attack and like a fear attack, to where it was so overwhelming I could not even. So that really like hindered me for a while, and I really had to work through that. And yeah, then it just psychic attacks, fear attacks. I write about that in depth in the book too. And I really had to work through that for months, and it was excruciating, because suddenly you just get this overwhelming fear that comes out of nowhere. And then I started seeing a lot of really disturbing things, a lot of disturbing visions. Um, but yeah, my star family told me that a lot of it was getting in through my root chakra, like in the lower three chakras, kind of chinks in my armor, if you will, like holes from traumas, and wounds that needed to heal, maybe even tagging devices at that time. So I had to do a lot of internal work. And as I worked on my root chakra for a couple of months, then they started to subside. So since then, I've experienced a few things here and there. At the Journey to Truth conference I did one night, had some astral attacks. Um, but besides that, it doesn't happen as often anymore. But I've definitely had weird things happen. Black SUVs,
Right.
just, yeah, very targeted things, and frequency things, like kind of fear uh,
Yeah,
things.
it's like you have to kind of move through that threshold, like that layer for it to exhaust them as they're trying to defeat and, discourage people and scare them. It's like you have to move through that layer to get to the other side, because the spiritual attack and warfare really increases when you begin to get to that place. So that's wild. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wasn't experiencing at first, but then suddenly it was like boom, and they were coming after me hard. It and then at some point, because I was seeing these vehicles that were like kind of like following me, and at one point, I was getting very paranoid and fearful, and I heard telepathically in my head, you have to choose love or fear. You have to choose. And so I made the decision, on top of doing the internal work, to make my armor stronger so that I couldn't be affected by those things as much. And I said, okay, I choose love, and then it stopped happening.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Lots of lessons learned.
Honestly, you're doing something right when you start getting hit with the directed energy weapons, and they start messing with your social media and start censoring you because they determined at that point that you're a threat and your voice is too powerful. Because the people that don't really have that voice on that punch, they're never throttled in any way. So we have to be pre-identified, all three of us, even though you're the most successful out of all the social media stuff, because you have that technique down and everything you've learned. And that's what we would like to learn that from you, Lily Nova. Teach us how to communicate and to make the maximum reach around the world in the age of censorship. But a couple things I want to talk about that you mentioned earlier was, it's funny how we met. You had randomly sent me a message back in January, and you had said that something along the lines of you had got woken up in the middle of the night, and your star family told you to get in contact with me, and you believe we're working in covert programs in the secret space program together.
Yeah.
Earlier, when you was talking about the cybernetic augmentation, I automatically thought about the program Kruger I'm in, and
Mm.
I talk about Kruger the most. They basically they'll take humans or other beings and they cybernetically enhance us with transhumanism. They integrate technology into our bodies, implants, retinal displays, like it's pretty crazy. So if you get your arm blown off in battle, they'll replace it with cybernetics. The reason why they don't just put you in another clone body, because when this happens, they're not going to have Lily Nova, the bad so the bad ASS out there being able to die. So they'll put you in a clone body in these secret space programs.
Mhm.
But they want to enhance you. So if something happens to you in battle, they're just going to enhance it in a way that protects you from that happening next time. So like they're known for upgrading body parts and parts of our brains with software and through the implants. And the Matrix movie, for example, it shows Neo's in this chair and he jacks in this thing in the back of his head, and now he knows martial arts. It's the same stuff, it's the same programs, except they can just send it through these implants and they don't have to jack us in anymore. But when you said that, it kind of gave me the chills because, like, when I met you, I know we're working side by side somehow. And I was curious if Talia, the reason that she mentioned it to you, how am I involved? Have you asked her any of that stuff yet?
Um, they're kind of, so I got really busy whenever I was writing the book, and essentially, like, I was starting to get some of those memories back, and they've been kind of like helping me get some of these back. I've got a notebook that's full now with random kind of SSP, and I think some of it's from different programs and things like that. But during the book, which is what I was working on for the past few months, I told them, like, I don't have the mental space to learn any SSP stuff right now. So let's put the brakes on it. But I do feel it's going to be coming up again soon. So I haven't asked specifically, but I do feel like, well, around that time, now my memory's kind of coming back. Alpha Squad, something like that, is what I was intuitively feeling and kind of what I was getting. Um, and I think there's just so much more. It seems like there's so many of these programs. Um, yeah, so many, I asked them how many clones have I had, and they showed me thousands. I mean, I don't know how many programs I'm in.
It would be interested if you're under my command because I run my own unit in the SSP. And I'm the commander of like some known people in the SSP. And like that's one of the things I'm going to be bringing out in next month's conference in July at St. Pete that Laura and I is going to be speaking at. I'm actually going to there's going to be people in the audience that I'm actually going to ask to stand up, and I'm going to introduce my team so people knows that this is not just testimony. This is from other people's memories. And like, I never get tired of all these famous SSP people coming out saying, I remember you. It's almost like I smile all the time, and it's almost like we're here now to remember that we've been going through this stuff together. And one thing I wanted to ask you about Talia, have you ever asked her if you're Talia, that's your ship? Because psychically,
Well,
the moment I read that in your book, I got this image of it's you, and she's only projecting part of her consciousness here and now to make change, but it's always been you the whole time, and you've always only shown yourself to yourself.
yeah, well, that's a big, there's a big reveal in the book. I'll say that.
I'm only halfway through it right now, so I was just like, if that's there, that's cool, man.
Yeah, there's a big reveal. I don't want to ruin it, but
Oh, sounds awesome.
yeah, it's so fascinating. Very, very fascinating. And I won't go. I don't want to like give too much away. But yeah, what's interesting, so Tally was coming to me a lot, and then she then I started seeing other different types of beings. There's a big variety of beings that come in and kind of work with me at different times. Tally was my main mentor for the first year or so, and she's the one who told me that I'm part of the SSP. And whenever I went to the Journey to Truth's first conference, the Secret Space Program conference, I had no idea what the SSP was whenever I went to that conference. I had just started
First
my
year?
YouTube. What's that?
That was year one. You're now on year three. You said that was year one.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I was brand new on YouTube. I was brand new to kind of coming out publicly. And listening to all of those heart-wrenching testimonies, because most of them were negative. I think there was only one positive program speaker. And it just, I was very triggered, and I was like almost like shaking, and I was like, what the heck? Why, why is this affecting me so much? Am I a part of this? And they wouldn't tell me at first. I asked, I was like, please tell me, Star Family, am I a part of this? And I saw me as a Pleiadian little girl, and they said I had been taken and trafficked, and used for these programs as a Pleiadian child, and I saw my Pleiadian parents. So that I don't think I wasn't ready at the time to come to terms with me being a part of it, like in this incarnation. So they kind of waited a bit, but then all of these signs and synchronicities, I started getting memories back, of some of these programs, just kind of like blips. I've been in one with Tony too, not the one that he remembers, but we're in these different, I think this was probably a different clone or different timeline. I don't know. But I've had a little bit of recall with him come up. But I was still kind of like avoiding it, I think, because it's hard to process. And then finally Talia came to me and she's like, dude, you've been in denial this whole time. Yes, you're in the programs, like get over it. And I'm like, okay. So she's helped me kind of access some of those things, but they're kind of giving me bits and pieces at a time. And I wanted to add something about the augmentation. So there's this one specific altar. I don't want to share maybe too much personal stuff, but I know her name, and I've felt myself like as her. I feel like I'm like integrating her personality, and sometimes that will come out more. She's a super soldier, and I've had experiences randomly where I feel my eye being like there's a target in my eye. There's technology in my eye where I can kind of like zoom in and
That's Kruger.
target,
You're definitely
spy.
yeah,
What's that?
you're definitely in Kruger.
Okay, interesting.
Darkfleet and all these other programs are not known for all the cybernetic enhancements like that. Kruger is
Interesting.
talked about the most.
Are
And
they on Mars?
yeah, they're one
Okay, because I've
they're one of the mercenary forces that actually fight Monarch. So basically, I was a product of Monarch. I was created by Monarch in MK Ultra as a child through the United States Air Force when I was abducted around 6, 5, 6. And I was put through all that. And then I was put on the opposing team. Monarch's known as the people in Hollywood, the cabal, the Illuminati, the people that are doing all the dark occult stuff.
yeah.
That's we can't even talk about it or we're gonna get censored, but like so basically we're on opposing groups, and basically I left Monarch and I was part of a refugee group called Merge, which is called the Monarch Umbrella Refugee Group. So it was a bunch of kids and teenagers that broke away that were a little too powerful to be controlled. And we developed a team and we've been going against them since then. But like my story is so, I know you really feel that. My story is so complex and convoluted. All these memories I'm getting and all this remote viewing, man, like I don't know how many 20 and backs or 60 and backs I've had been a part of, but it's not one. I've had so many different existences, and like I'm having all these top remote viewers remote view me on a regular basis. That's what you should do, Lily. Make a post and ask remote viewers to start to look into your SSP connections. I did that. That put me to where I am now because people read my story and they were curious. Because if you're truly a fraud in the SSP, under no circumstance do you ask people to remote view you, because that's going to come out really fast. And they started producing all those results and the videos they was putting out the content. It was just like, the more stuff I see, the more memories I get and the more downloads. Sometimes I get slapped with memories that are emotional. And you're like, holy crap. Just like you said, like it takes you a while to kind of open that door of all the dark crap they put you through and what you did in these programs and what you're doing. And we're doing it all in the veil of war, because this stuff that happened with the Orion Wars that you're involved with, that I'm involved with, that Laura's involved with, all the way back to Lyra, this stuff has never ended. It's been going on for billions of years. And this is why we went to Pleiades and Sirius, because like the Lyrans, for example, we had to flee from Lyra. I had lives in Lyra. And Matthew Mornian, he actually came to my house and I did like a 5-hour session on him. I had him under for 5 straight hours. I hardly ever put people under that long. The amount of information we got was mind-blowing. It was so mind-blowing that we still haven't talked about what happened and our connections and how we know each other from the programs. And he wrote 60 pages in his new book just to cover what we found out through hypnosis. So that's what I would like to do for you. I would like to do a session on you, and I can uncover a lot of this stuff. Like, regressive hypnosis can give you so much. And like, people always ask you on these shows, have you been abducted? And you always say no. I believe you have, and I believe it was good abductions, because there's not many scenarios where we're not abducted from our own star families, because they can't just do all this work from this orb or this ship outside this matrix. Sometimes they have to physically come in and do this physically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't have any like memory recall of being like, I know I've been on the ships though, definitely. And actually just a few days ago, I woke up, as I was waking up, I heard my lab. And
Yeah,
then I
so
felt,
abduction doesn't mean negative. Abduction just
yeah,
means they took you, put you on the ship. They've been
yeah.
doing that my entire life. Like, I'm unfortunately, the Greys attached to me since I was a child, because they basically pre-identified my energetic signature before I incarnated into the physical, and they were assigned to me. And they've been part of some torturous, mind manipulating, physical trauma. Like, there's a lot of people that talk a lot of positive stuff about the Greys, but like, I don't remember much positivity, man. Like, and I've had a ton of interaction with them. Like, Draco beings are less of an asshole than Greys are, because at least when you deal with the Dracos, like, a lot of people don't know this, but Dracos are based on respect. If you honor them and you don't act like a kiss ass, they will respect you back, and they won't treat you as a piece of meat. And they're extremely telepathic. And again, if you can respect them and honor them, you can go a lot of ways with these Draco. But like these Greys, it's like talking to a wall. They have their own thoughts and they have their own motivations, and you can hear them kind of speaking. Like, when you're in these programs, you go through this torture and it makes you psychically entrained to people and to the people that tortured you. Or like my trauma twin. I just found my trauma twin for the first time in 20 years. We've been separated for over 20 years. And we just found each other again in January. And we're going over all of our memories, and we're writing them all down, and we're connecting this story. And she's going to be one of the people that I'm going to probably have stand up to acknowledge, like, this program stuff is real. Again, this isn't about just our testimony that people will either believe us or not believe us, because ultimately, we don't care if they believe us. We know what we went through. And to have people like you remembering me and me recognizing your energy and all that stuff, like, that's the most important part, because like, we all are connected in quantumly in ways we can't understand. And a lot of the people are friends through the podcast. Laura, your family, like, you have to understand, like, we made agreements to do this before we got here. So you have to understand, like, none of this was random. And this was when we were activated, and we had to go through all that training, going through the steps, learning what meditation is, learning what the chakras are, going back up the spine and unlocking all the chakras. You know what I'm saying? We had to start over. And like, us three have had some pretty traumatic lives. We've went through some dark night of the soul crap that was, most humans couldn't last through what we've went through. And just understand, there's a lot coming. Like, your spirit guides have made a prediction, I think it's for like 2030, where something's coming. And I wanted to ask, what other predictions have they made for the state of the world? Because right now the world is getting super dark, and the United States has been the worst it's ever been, I think, since the Great Depression. And people are getting to the point where, what do? Housing is so high, the job pay is crap. People are having to get roommates and lose their houses. People are now defaulting on their mortgages. You can't even regularly pay bills this time. So like, how much more do we have to take before we push back, and then we take it back? And then what is going to be that event when it happens?
Yeah, I get really good feelings about 2025. And probably after this next election, we'll see what,
That would
we'll
be
see
freaking
what.
amazing, man. Like within a year of what's going to happen next, because I realize that we're in the bastion of this previous administration, and there's only so many months left before we figure out who's going to run the United States for the next 4 years. And you actually got some predictions on Trump. I've seen one of your videos where you would saying that Trump's kind of special, and that he's basically a conduit to acknowledge the censorship and the corruption of the judicial system. And he wants to kind of make peace around the world. Can you tell us about some of the stuff you heard about Trump?
Yeah, so I wasn't, I'm not a political person. I wasn't. Now I'm starting to pay attention more because the ET started showing me Trump over this last year or so. Um, and there was a while where I was seeing him a lot. So I think even on a galactic level, I've actually worked with him. And he's working with some of the benevolent ETs from my understanding and what I see. But yeah, a conduit for change. And it's funny because I'm like, why did you have to pick somebody who causes so much kind of like division? And it is so like triggering for, because people hate him. And there's a lot of like, programming around that too. And I'm sure they're probably sending out frequencies and programs to make people, to rile them up even more. But I was having that discussion with somebody the other day, and I think it's part to kind of trigger people in their wounds to begin to heal. Because if you're triggered, there's a reason for it, and it's something kind of within you that needs to be looked at, reflected on, and healed. But anyways, yeah, a conduit for change. He's shaking things up, and so he was, found guilty on all 35 accounts or whatever the other day, and I was like, whoa, like that. That's like just obnoxious. The whole thing was very corrupt, the judicial system. And recently they've been showing me like dreams and visions about really how they're doing all of this legally. They're getting away with it legally because of the loopholes in the legal system and the corruption in the legal system. If they like, they'll come after you in that way, if they want to get rid of you, or smearing your name. There's other things that they do. But so I tuned in after that, and because I'm like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? And then I saw I felt peace, and I saw Trump appear as a time traveler. And I just felt peace. Like it's gonna work out. Um and yeah, but yeah, I think he's a conduit of change, and he's here to shake up the system. So that's a big part of it. And there's another video on my channel where I did messages from the future. That was from last year, but it still like applies to what's going on now. But do you have any questions or comments on what I said so far about like the Trump thing?
Speaking of the Trump thing, like it's cool that we're bringing him up, because I don't know how many people I've talked about personally or had conversations with or made public posts that they've seen Trump in the programs.
Yeah.
And they all say that he's part of a time travel program, and he was sent here through either it's something that was started at Montauk, and basically they remote viewed all these possible scenarios of the Earth, and a lot of them were so dark that only certain ways they seen that there was only certain facets of this diamond that where it would work, where the good would win and the light would win, and we would have that 1,000 years of light. And again, I don't know how many people talk about him in the programs, but the thing I like about Trump is I believe this entire time he's been playing like 10D chess. I'm not even talking about 5D chess, because look what he did. He allowed certain precedents to be made that he knew he would lose, but he knew he would win it on the appeal. And if he didn't win it on the appeal, he knew he would win it in the Supreme Court, because everything that brought against him, it was all unconstitutional. And guess what? The Supreme Court ruled he was right every time. I'm going to tell you what he did. Thought about this a lot. He set the precedent that now former presidents can now be impeached. Presidents that are not currently sitting. Also, former presidents can now be forced to reveal tax and business records. About that. Now, former presidents lose executive privileges. They could be forced to release phone records and text messages. Former presidents can have their homes raided by the FBI. They can now be subpoenaed, and now they can now be indicted and arrested. And there's entire case law now because of Trump, where he can then reverse this on all the cabal and go after all the other presidents that were responsible for a lot of these false flag terrorist attacks like 9/11, like the entire Bush cartel,
Right.
which basically they're the P2 Freemasons, part of the Fourth Reich, and they connect directly to the Nazis. So like, if Trump's really gonna kill it, and if he wins, that's what all these celebrities are afraid of. They're all saying we're gonna move out of the United States if Trump wins again. I believe they're saying that because they're gonna be arrested, and they're probably gonna to move. They're gonna move to a place that has non-extradition, and their acting career is over domestically in the United States. So that's what they're all afraid of. So you're right. A lot of people don't like Trump, but you know what? This is the first time in the history of the United States since 1776 that a president has been so attacked. For, I think it's been 13 years straight they've been
All the
attacking him.
felonies, all like 30. That was just insane.
It's freaking insane. And like these new charges against him, they're all misdemeanors. So
Yeah, they
like,
don't make sense. It
it's
doesn't
just
make
like,
sense.
it's all going to be uncovered at the higher courts, and this judge, whatever his name is, he's probably going to be prosecuted. But
I'm just surprised he's supporting the draft and some of the other things that we're hearing, but
yeah, I haven't heard anything about him supporting that draft, but them talking about the draft right now, that's freaking huge, because that's going to be the first time they're doing this since I think it was like Vietnam. And I think Russia is parked 30 miles off the coast of where I'm at right now. Like they have an entire Russian fleet.
So one of the things that came up in the messages from the future that the ETs gave me, this was like a year ago, was a ship off the coast, and it felt like maybe Hawaii or the off the coast of the United States somewhere, maybe Florida. And it felt like there was going to be something really, really big about these ships. And I thought maybe it either had to do with a war or something like that, or maybe they were going to find a bunch of children, trafficked people on this. I don't know, but I'm wondering if it has to do with what you're talking about, Drago.
Honestly, I'm not the guy that predicts anything. I don't give people dates, because what I realized doing QHHT is this is a multiverse. And the reason why people are so wrong with, I'm talking about the major people that's made predictions for 20 years straight and nothing ever happened, even the 2012 stuff. People need to understand that this is a multiverse timeline. And you can prove this by all the Mandela effects. So the easiest way to make you understand that, if we're going to argue what happened with certain actors or what they said in certain movies, and we argue amongst each other, you have to realize that we're both correct. The answer is both yes and no. So we did experience the Berenstein Bears and the Berenstain Bears. All that never changed. That's from your timeline. So to say you're going to predict an entire timeline that is the mother organic timeline, that's hard to do, because a lot of these people were finding out that they're predicting timelines that only they are involved with. So the person next to you might die they predict like the coast of Florida, if the poles shift, we're going to have like this massive tsunami coming in, right? Some people signed up for that. So that's going to happen to them. Other people that signed up, that never happened. And Florida became like a stronghold of the United States because of the presidents that's been set in motion by the governors that made Florida such a strong place, kind of like Texas. Texas is becoming it's almost seeming like they're going to want to secede from the United States, because federal law has stepped over them so many times with the Biden administration that Governor Abbott had to sue the DOJ because they were overstepping the Texas Constitution. And I'm from Texas. So when you come in with these World Economic Forum, New World Order, United Nation rules, that's not going to work, man. Because Texas and Florida, for example, we're a right to defend ourselves state. And Florida is now constitutional carry. Governor DeSantis just signed that. I think it was the end of last year. So you have two of the strongest states that are red states. We're going to stand our ground when this happens. And he also wrote legislation, DeSantis did, that kicks DEI out of Florida It prosecutes and is offering, I think he signed a death penalty executive order. So if pedophiles are caught, they get the death penalty. So like there's some heavy stuff happening around the United States. So you can see the states are starting to rise, the people are starting to rise. And like it's an honor to be here in this time and to watch this happen. But I just can't wait to experience what I agreed to experience in my timeline. And I'm desperately waiting for that moment to happen, for the ETs to show themselves in the skies, to come down, and we have that Star Trek universe where we're part of Starfleet and we interact together and we're a one big star family like it exists now outside the Earth. And they basically have lied to all of us. They think, we're not this spacefaring kind of peoples, but we were lied to. We're part of this cargo cult theory where we basically worship the gods, the ETs that came down 500,000 years ago, and then we've been enslaved since then. And I believe, again, this is the Great Awakening.
Yeah, gosh. So, Lily, what kind of communications are coming from like Sasquatch? And I guess I almost have more than one question, and I tend to ask a lot of questions in one question, so I'll just ask you that.
Okay, yeah, Sasquatch. Okay, I love working with the Sasquatch. So what I found, so my briefly, the first time that I met with Sasquatch was in Arkansas 2 springs ago, in a place called Mena, Arkansas, where there's known for having Sasquatch encounters there, and also in Arkansas there's thousands of miles of crystals. It's a very very special place. So we went there to connect with crystals, and then I kind of went off by myself to meditate and see if I could make contact with Sasquatch. Basically within moments, there was a whole family there, and I could see them kind of like with my third eye. Like if whenever I open my eyes, I can kind of see them bleeding through into this dimension, like see their silhouettes and see them. Um, but it was a whole family. And what the Arkansas Sasquatch helped me to do, they told me that I was there to, I brought keys to help activate the land, and the land had keys to help activate me too. And it was like a mutual thing. So they showed me, it kind of guided me in how to connect with the Earth's crystals, the crystalline grid, and kind of do grid work. That's where I started doing grid work with their instruction. And so yeah, that's what, and then the Grafton, Illinois Sasquatch that I had experiences with, they really helped me. I did experience an astral attack, a targeted attack, one of the nights that I was there, and I had my Sasquatch experience the next day, and they really helped kind of clear all of that. They showed me that I had like a plug in my root chakra. Like somebody had put a plug in my root chakra that was making me very kind of like anxious that day after having that uh astral attack, which doesn't happen, so it was weird. But they helped me heal and clear that. And so what I've been seeing them a lot the past few weeks, especially since the Rebels of Disclosure conference. And once you meet one Sasquatch clan, you get connected with other Sasquatch clans because they communicate with each other, which is pretty cool. So really the messages have been about grid work and in preparing. Like right now we are preparing the Earth's grid. We're clearing, transmuting, closing dark portals, things like that, really preparing for 2025, where 2025 is going to be essentially like a huge like portal year where a bunch of amazing things and disclosure. It might get messy, but it's going to get messy so that so that people rise up, which is what we're starting to see now. So so yeah, really they've been talking to me a lot about that, preparing the Earth's grid, preparing each other, activating each other to pave the way into 2025, where we're going to be making a lot of shifts. So that's been essentially the main focus with them recently. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to add with how close they got during the Rebels of Disclosure conference, and with how many people had experiences with them. I think that really says a lot, that they are becoming more kind of comfortable with revealing themselves and revealing themselves more. And if you want to have a connection and a relationship with them, you can set your intention and ask. They're telepathic. You can connect with them through consciousness no matter where you are. I still have contact with the Arkansas Sasquatch. So I just wanted to throw that out there that anybody can, put in the effort to develop a relationship with them. And they're happy to help us and be assisting.
Wow, gosh. Have you known Marjorie for a while, who talked about it a bit in her panel, or her part of the panel?
Yeah, I love her. I was very, very impressed with her. I heard her speak last year and I've done a couple shows with her. But yeah, she's incredible and she has a really a good connection with the Sasquatch too. She's very talented. I like her a lot.
I also
Marjorie.
want to mention the 2026 prediction. Like, you're right. Everybody that I've talked to intelligence-wise, they say something big is coming. And I've noticed in astrology, like my Vedic astrology chart, I had an Indian woman read me, I think about 2 years ago at Conscious Life Expo in LA. And she told me that I had some stuff coming up in 2026 on my chart, and it was something major. And she's seen that, she keeps seeing 2026 on everybody's chart, that something major is coming. And she has came to the conclusion that there's going to be a worldwide event, because that many people all experiencing that height of something in that exact year, that's beyond coincidence. So I was just like, holy crap. So I've thought about that in the entire time. Second thing is, do you think you have a Sasquatch higher self or a past life?
I'm thinking I do, yeah. And so like it said that some Sasquatch come from Malbec. Is
Yep.
that
Tiamat is also known as Maldek.
okay? I
Yeah,
believe.
the Tiamat's a 5D, and the 3D counterpart is Maldek, that exploded after we dropped down. And from what I've come to understand, they're not quite the same, but they're connected. And Maldek ended up being the male sort of counterpart to Mother Earth, and then the Sasquatch came down from Maldek after. That's just what I heard, but yeah. I mean, what I've been researching and what makes the most sense, just because
Same.
Tiamat was like the Dragon Queen, and in the Tara 5D, Maldek was more around the time of Atlantis when it exploded. I think.
Yeah, I think I have.
I know me then, but Drago, that's just my 2 cents, but go ahead.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I haven't dived into that too much, but I do know I received some messages that I have some connections with that. So I think so, and I think it has to do with that.
I've seen with QHHT that people are typically, if they get a specific type of guide or an ET, it's because it's one of their higher selves of one of their other incarnations.
Yeah.
So I realize that that's a phenomenon that's consistent no matter who I come across. So I'm like, if you're getting contacted by the Pleiadians, I mean, like, let's assume that you're up there right now and this is a small version of you and you think that you're the ultimate version of you, but really you're just like this small piece that needs to be in this planet to be here in this time with this energy, but you're operating on a higher level on a craft. That's probably a commander of a ship. You know what I'm saying? That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Then I
Definitely.
also wanted to mention, you said Mesa, Arkansas.
Mena, Arkansas.
I think that is the hometown where Bill Clinton was governor. And I think that was the city that he ran all the cocaine out of. Like, that was the hub for all the drug trafficking, and he was controlling it. They've wrote numerous books on that, about the cocaine trade coming through there. So I was just like, that's the first thing I thought. I was just like, wow. And then moving on to Marjorie, her information really impressed the crap out of me. And like, I really want to have Laura and I interview her on the show, because like, I was observing her while she was sitting on stage amongst everybody. And I realized that she gets anxiety sitting on stage, because if she looks everybody in the eye, she picks up information on everybody. And I notice when she's in an audience, she looks away and looks towards the ground, because I notice everybody that I observed is just focused on her. And like, the moment you meet that eye contact, it's like you can see these connections with people. So like, bless that girl's heart for having such a gift where you have to openly kind of like not look at people, because like you can see all the 5D stuff. That has to be overwhelming.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's very, very talented and gifted. I like her a lot. Yeah.
Do you
Laura,
guys, oh, go ahead.
oh, well, I was going to ask, you said you had 2 questions. Was there another one?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, I mean, if there's, you mentioned you recognize Lily Drago from,
When I seen her videos, it's the way we recognize these people is through the eyes. And
like,
the moment I look at somebody, I will either have a connection to them or I won't. And I will know I'm connected to them. It's kind of like when I met Matthew Mornian and I seen him on video for the first time. I knew we knew each other. And me and him didn't get off on the right foot in the beginning. It was a weird misunderstanding over a photo I sent him without context on Facebook. And it started this weird interaction with us. And then we talked through it. And then we became like awesome friends. Then he came to my house. I did that session on him and realized that not only do we know each other, that we was in the dumbs together. And we've been doing this lifetime after lifetime together as part of a soul group. And I'm realizing that a lot of podcast hosts were all part of the same damn group. And we came here to shake crap up. And that's why they're targeting all of us. They identified all of us. And we're all linked somehow. And it doesn't shock me at all when I discover another known person remembers me or I remember them. And it's just like, nothing is a coincidence. Everything is synchronicities. That's like, Lily, you're surrounded by synchronicities all the time. You start to get like the ones and twos and threes, and then 11, 11, and 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. And like, you've been given all those awakening codes. And like, that's where we're all at now, man. We did all the work and we went through the dark night of the soul, and we're here to help transmute and help convert people to the light and to show them that there is a way, there is a life worth living, and this is not random chaos. And because of that trauma we went through, we're now that gate for
well,
them to step through.
yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, it's like winning the galactic wars within your own being because, there's almost like a tug of war as far as, the strength that it takes, to offset um what they've attempted to use your greater abilities for, and then the benevolent contact and the overriding, just the targeting. I mean, that is what's winning the war on a ground level. So it's just amazing.
And the other
And I
way
was going to
is,
ask you about that, Lily. Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that's what we did, Lily. We agreed to go through some of the most horrific programs on Earth, SSP related stuff, in order to bring this to the forefront. Because could you imagine if you never had your ET awakening, you never got to speak to Talia and your guides, and basically you only got to see orbs, and you never got to achieve what you did. And the reason why your impact is so massive is because you're bringing that awareness from the things you went through that's being blocked right now. That's why I want to do that hypnosis on you, to uncover all this. And I would like to maybe develop some kind of way where we can build a team together, where people that think they're in the SSP or they want to like recount memories or awaken memories of these connections, I can be that conduit. Because that's what I'm getting known for in the secret space program. A lot of these top people, they're coming to me directly and they're flying out on a regular basis. And it's very humbling for me because I can see the impact I'm making. And people mention me all the time on their shows. And it's just like, it makes me smile that they're like, oh, I'm getting a session from Drago Reid. It's just like, I'm becoming the guy. And it is so freaking amazing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would love to do a session with you at some point. And I wanted to add real quick. So last night, another thing that happened is I heard telepathically Matthew. And I was like, Matthew Mornier? And I haven't really like talked to him much. We were both in the book writing program together, but you brought him up twice now. And I'm like, okay, so I think there's probably there, yeah, there's a connection there. Cause I don't know any other Matthew. I'm pretty sure that's who they were talking. And he was immediately who I thought of. Um, so yeah, we'll have to talk more off camera, or I'll reach out to him about kind of your guys' connections with the dumbs and stuff, because it sounds like we also have a connection then, if they're telling me to, like to look into that more.
I can't wait to hear that story, what our connections are, man. That's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Wow, this has been so amazing and incredible. Is there anything that either one of us hasn't asked you that's really been coming up for you lately, or you want to be sure to share?
Mm, I think we covered. I think we covered a lot. Um, eh, so I was getting some messages about like the Sedona retreat in October that I'm doing. I don't think there's a coincidence that it's not a coincidence. I was kind of tuning in like the kind of the importance of it, grid work too, and then the election is in the next month, and I really feel like seriously, the work that we are all doing right now, the grid work, the internal work, the upgrades, the anchoring in our light is really paving the way for 2025 to blow it out of the park. So I just wanted to mention that we're doing really important work and stay on your diligence of, cultivating and anchoring your inner light and stay strong, because I think we're going to have some really big wins coming up here soon that I'm excited about.
Yay! And it feels so good and validating coming from you, especially to hear that.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, yeah.
In
Yeah, I've got
closing,
good
I just want to say that I want to dedicate this show to your father, Dan.
What's that?
I said to finalize this show, I want to dedicate the show to your father, Dan. Because
Thank
again,
you.
without him, you wouldn't be here.
Oh,
You wouldn't have been through a lot of the stuff you went through. And like, that was how he catapulted you here now.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Other than that, are you speaking at any conferences coming up?
Mount Shasta in July at the Rob Potter conference, and then Tony Rodriguez is doing a Sedona conference October 19th, either 17th or 19th. And then I'm doing the retreat right after that, immediately after that. But yeah, I'm super excited for Tony's event also, and that's what I got on the books coming up.
I was stoked to see that he wrote your intro. So that's
Yeah.
what an honor, man. Like to commemorize like your experiences and everything you went through and like have that honor. And then again, Laura's book. I'm always plugging her book, man. You got to read this. I'm
Yeah.
digesting this book now. I only have so much time to read books these days. It's depressing. I have like so many books to read. I realized over the last couple of months, I've bought over 25 books from these shows. So it's just like every conference I do, it's just the pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, I'm focusing my time on Laura's book now. I'm reading her book.
it's
But other than
incredible.
that,
Can't wait to read your book, Drago. I know you're writing one. It's going to be immense.
I'm writing I'm series of volume of books. And it was Laura that kind of catapulted me into like telling my story. And like I've been forced to kind of like write a book about myself because all the books I've been writing, it was never about me. It was about the knowledge I've learned in totality of what the world is and how they hijacked it and galactic history and all that. But like now that I'm stepping forward and doing presentations again, and like it's forced me to like write a book about myself. And I'm going to call it Path of the Rebel Mystic. And Matthew Mornian is credited for calling that. He did an interview with me and he called that interview Path of the Rebel Mystic. And the moment I read it, I was just like, oh my God, that is like the name of my book. I'm like, Matthew, can I use that?
That's
Oh, that's
awesome.
I
awesome.
thought that was cool. But other than that, Laura and I will be speaking at the Full Disclosure Now conference in St. Pete, Florida, Serrata Beach Resort, July 15th to the 18th. And you can buy tickets now at fulldisclosuremovement.org. I'm going to be talking about my experiences in the secret space program, Black Ops programs, and my discoveries of over 800 freaking QHHT sessions. So it's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
Oh gosh, yeah, totally. I love the cover of your book, by the way, and it's just incredible. Your path, your journey, your mission. I'm so grateful to know you. It just such a light, such an upgrade, such a presence you are, and it's just been so
Aw,
wonderful to spend this time with you. And
thank
yeah, everybody, you got to get this book. It's just changing lives, and I just really tune in and I feel the ripple effect. And yeah, I just so appreciate you, and thank you so much, Drago. I love doing the show with you and your friendship and all that you share. You're just brilliant, and I really enjoyed this, you guys. So much
Yeah.
love. See you
Thanks
next
for
time.
having me on. Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Till next time, everyone.
All right. Bye bye.